Welcome to In Layman's Terms. Today, I'm talking to Jenny Hale. I am so excited about this because she is an automated high-ticket launch marketing consultant for female coaches, course creators, and consultants scaling to $10,000 to $20,000 income months with a target audience of online business owners. Jenny specializes in helping these entrepreneurs take their programs, even if it's just sold one time, and put it on strategic automation for passive income sales and automated upsells without high tech, the need for ads, a large team, or big system expenses. With Jenny's Facebook groups and automated launch strategy, this year will be year 3 consecutively of 6-figure business on automation. And she'll cross $500,000 in cash sales earned just since 2021. But the kicker, her Facebook group has never had more than 350 people in it. So today, Jenny is going to share with you insider secrets to help you crack the code for turning Facebook groups into 6-figure business boosters so you can increase your cash months without sales calls going live or worrying about those pesky payment plans. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, I'm so grateful to be here. This is just going to be so much fun. I'm excited for this.
It is fun. Now, for those of you watching the video, Jenny's actually coming to us from the Facebook matrix. So if you see the screen flickering, you gotta love tech, right? That's what happens. Inevitably, when you're filming, something's going on when you're doing this. But we've been around the block enough that we know you just roll with the punches. So
Hi, I am definitely somebody who's like, we do not have to be perfect in business. We're going to be just real, authentic. It's going to be raw. It's going to be true, and that's the vibe. So we're going to go with it.
yes. So for anybody who's like, oh my God, I can never do this, trust me, shit happens. You just, just go. Okay. So as you know, social media is constantly changing those, there's algorithms, what worked in 2020 with Facebook, there's good and bad in groups, right? There's a way to use them strategically. So while they can be a valuable tool, you have to have a strategy and you've got to put in the work to make this happen. So as I was listening to Jenny introduce herself on another podcast, I was completely blown away with what she'd accomplished. And that's why I wanted her on here. So if you have a Facebook group that's rocking, you're going to get some solid strategies. And if you've never set up a Facebook group yet, you're going to love what you're getting out of today's episode. So Jenny, let's start with the pros of Facebook groups. Help us out here.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a million ways to run a business. It's not that one way is better than another way. They all work. That's why they're all taught. But I have found that there's harder ways to do things and easier ways to do things. And I have tried to do some of the easier ways. It doesn't mean that I get to avoid work or the setup of them, but I do think that they're slightly easier. So for example, I'm pretty anti using like Zoom or Instagram Live to host a full blown launch. What I mean by that are like challenges, webinars, masterclasses, multi day workshops, things like that. And I know that that's what's popular in the industry to use. But I've actually seen my clients and myself drastically reduce the sale when they use platforms like that. But when I move my clients from those types of platforms to like the Facebook group strategy that I see, I've watched them make more money. And I do believe that there's a reason why. Facebook rewards the use of live streaming with the algorithm. We've known that for years. It is their most favorite format of hosting. So when we want to create engagement, which is huge, that's like one of our main goals, right? We want to go live inside Facebook. Now, I have a caveat about engagement, but in general, that's what we think we want. So we want to use the tool that the algorithm wants us to use as a priority. But it's more than that. When we are using our Facebook community, Facebook is like partnering with us in many ways to try to create that visibility. So it sends notifications to every group member when you go live, but it also boosts eyes on that Facebook Live. And that looks like a healthy group, which will then obviously push out into more feeds and then suggest your group in Facebook to other people that could join the group. As an automated launch person, I have moved away from the Facebook Live element of the strategy, but I have kept the concept of it. And so I've created an automated version of that, but it's based on that root belief of why we're using Facebook as a priority. And it's because Facebook will keep that video there well beyond the 24 hours, and it leaves that recording up with the comments underneath it. It creates that historical context. And psychologically, when you go to a live stream that has, I don't know, 300 comments on it, let's just say, or 100 comments on it, you're more inclined to take time out of your day to go watch that because there's social proof that it's really juicy, that other people are liking it, that there's activity. And so people will psychologically want to interact with it as well when they see that kind of engagement later on. Plus, Facebook, gives users more creativity over the type of posts that they can make, like pictures, lives, videos, skins, reviews, all the way to using, which is what, you were actually going to be talking about during the upcoming summit. Did I just break the news too early? We put it on secret. We've been hiding. But that's what you're going to be talking about in one of the upcoming events that we're collaborating on together. So do you want to talk a little bit now that I've, filled the secret?
But when it comes to content, it's like, how do you really get more eyes on what you're doing? And Facebook Lives are a great way to do that. But using gifts of yourself to get more engagement, because we use gifts all the time, right? Gifts are used every single day. But when you actually create gifts of yourself in your Facebook group, or I use them on my personal profile as well, then it helps to create that authentic connection and it helps to stop the scroll because a lot of times people are going through, and we know this, right? We're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So when you see a GIF, people like animated stuff. So think about a short, a super short video, a couple of seconds. Now, I do want to ask you a question really quick because you made the comment. You're like, when somebody sees a live stream and there's several hundred comments on it, for those of you that are listening, they're like, look, crap, I've never had that many eyes on my content. I have a smaller group. So
Yeah.
let's get over that mental hurdle. Let's get over that mental hurdle right now.
Yes, and that's why I said I have a caveat to the engagement thing later on. Psychologically, it's true. Like if you see more comments, you're probably going to want to get more involved. But there's a secret behind this because I have no engagement in my group. I do not get 300 comments. I do not get even maybe one or two comments, and I don't care. Nobody likes my post. Nobody cares. Air quote. And I could run with that belief, but then behind the scenes, I'm making 20K cash month. How is that possible? How is that possible with such a small audience, no engagement, and what we would deem as like a very low visibility? And it's twofold. One is I speak to a different level of client. I speak to someone who is very sure of themselves and trust themselves to invest. They are used to investing, and investing is a normal part of running their business. As well as I'm also speaking to the person who's probably very successful or who is very busy. And I'm a busy person. We're all busy. But when I'm watching a live, air quotes live, I'm not really watching a live. I'm watching a replay. I'm not going to probably carve out time to go live or to watch somebody's live. I'm going to carve out time in my day to watch a replay. And I'm probably going to do it on 2 times speed. And that is kind of where this concept comes from of like engagement does not just mean comments and visibility, although that is what the algorithm favors and wants. Yes, I understand that. But at the same time, engagement to me means what's going on behind the scenes because I'm getting the DM. I'm getting the invoices coming right through. Most of my clients don't contact me before they purchase. And that's leads to part two, which is my content does my sales work for me. That's how I can automate. That's why we don't use sales calls. That's why we don't do the DM me for the link strategy. That's why we don't do the DM every single person who follows us to start a relationship, air quote, because that cannot be automated. That becomes a, a, a business model that requires your or somebody else's, a VA of some kind, to manage your inbox or to manage your call schedule or to be outsourced in some way. And I believe in very low overhead in my business outside of basically skill set learning and coaching investing. So given that, what allows you to bypass the need for engagement, which is very normal when you have a very tiny audience like I do, then it's really about the content. And it's about how you position the content and what you say in your messaging, how you make the sale very clear and transparent in that content, so that people have the information that they need to be able to make an empowered purchasing decision. And when you mix that with speaking to a client who you understand how they're purchasing, they're busy, they probably don't have time to watch the training live, and you don't get on live and you're like, oh my God, there's really two people here. Oh no, this was a failure. But on the back end, you have, dozens of people watching the replay, and you have a strategy to push them to that replay, and you just start sweating it. And it doesn't matter if they comment or not because they're still buying. And so it's kind of this mix of understanding what the algorithm wants, which I understand. Okay, noted. Thank you. Check mark. But also understanding that you can bypass a lot of this stuff by having a lot of what we're going to be talking about this.
Which is fantastic. So as you're thinking about Facebook groups, another way to get engagement is, so you're posting good content. I love the fact that you're saying it doesn't matter about who's showing up. What I talk about, like I just did a visibility kickstart in my group that I had. And what I tell people again and again, it doesn't matter the people that show up live. It matters the people who raise their hand and say that there's an interest. Because back during the pandemic, everybody had time to be on because we suddenly shifted, if you were in a work environment, to being in a home work environment, which you and I have done forever. But it was something where people had the time to do this. I'm noticing that it's the same thing. I typically am not on live unless there is you get this for 24 hours and that's it. So what I will probably do is multitask. I am guilty of that. And I'll have it on, but I'll be doing something else. So it's got to be juicy enough, but you're looking for the people who are raising their hands for expressing an interest. And then another way I ran into this as well, because I had people getting frustrated. They're like, well, I didn't get the email. It's like, go check your junk folder. But I also was posting in the group. And then I sent a DM to make sure they saw it because the algorithm is limiting. So, it just depends on what's going on. But then you've got that lovely little feature of tagging, which you can do that. So I know we've seen that at everyone. Facebook introduced the at everyone tag, which I think some people went completely overboard and they insisted that they tag you in every single post that they made, which was pretty annoying. So along with great content, and not being concerned that you may not have as many people show up live, let's talk about tags for just a minute and how you can strategically use those.
Yeah, well, in general, what I like about Facebook is that it at least gives you the option to do it, and no other platform is doing that right now. So when we're thinking about our launch, which is in our world probably the most important piece of our month or our cycle of nurture, then we're going to want to use tags strategically. And yes, you can use the add everyone tag, but you can also physically tag up to 50 people in a comment. Don't do it too often. You will get blocked by Facebook jail. But the way I look at it is when you have a small audience, you're probably not bringing hundreds of people into your launches. They're not like hundreds of people are not signing up for your free event. And that's okay. We convert with small numbers when we have the right content in place. But what I actually do is I just cross check who came into the Facebook group specifically for that event, and that is also on the sign up list on my email list. And I mean, it's perfect. Some people use junk emails, and so like the name's not exactly perfect. But if you have 20, 30, 40 people sign up, you can individually tag them in the comment section, or all at once, and at least give them access to the replay. Now, I'm not really somebody who follows up necessarily. I believe that really speak to an empowered client. My job is not to like chase people down. It's to attract the empowered, motivated buyer because I'm a consultant. And I only really want to work with those who are ready to take action. But what I will do is just what you do is like, I want to make sure that my audience is given the opportunity to see something that they wanted. And then that some sort of tech failure or algorithm thing isn't the reason that they don't get it. So I'm absolutely also happy to send a DM only to those who are in my group who match that email list again for registering and ask if they just want the replays. I don't just give them the replays. I just ask, do you need that? Otherwise, I really do believe in letting people make decisions from that empowered place without pressure, without convincing energy. And that follow-up does tend to naturally happen because if they are tagged in that comment, then every time you go to post in that comment with an update of like how many spots are left or the cart is closing, everybody is getting those notifications sent to them by Facebook. So Facebook really does give you the tools to be able to continue the conversation well beyond that video event.
You want to make sure that you've got a good system. So everything that Jenny is sharing is like, if you do not have a way that you follow up with people, I highly suggest using a CRM. So that way you've got everybody tagged. One of my favorite tools is Group Track CRM, which you can use it on Facebook. You can use it on Instagram. So if you're thinking, oh, dear God, how am I tag all these people? How am I going to send DMs? If you don't know about Group Track, I will be dropping a link in the show notes. Or for those just listening, you can go to layman.live/group track. I've known the founders for a couple of years. You can set up automatic tags. You can actually respond to comments in a post with an automated sequence. You can do bulk messaging, which you've got to be very strategic. It's all about strategy as far as the messages that you have. So it gives you a way that you can duplicate your efforts. So, if you've got to send out 200 messages, you set it up and then you hit go and you walk away and go do other stuff. And Group Track is doing the heavy lifting for you. So, but it also goes back to as well, Jenny's been talking about she's got a very specific audience that she's marketing to. So if you're trying to market to everybody or a broader SWAT, it's not going to work. You've got to, really, really fine tune who that perfect fit client is for you so you can create the content that you want. When you follow up, they're excited to hear from you. Otherwise, they may have joined, the wrong group and they don't know why they're there. So I want to talk about next. What's one of the biggest mistakes that group admins make?
Yeah. And again, this is why I'm so anti using some of the other platforms because this particular tool is only available for Facebook groups. And again, all these systems that we're talking about and strategies that we're talking about feeds into the statistical 7+ times that you need to have your content seen before somebody is willing to take action. And that, stat has been thrown around with all sorts of different numbers, but on average, you need about 7-ish times for somebody to see your stuff to be able to take action. That's where all these notifications come in. That's where that tracker comes in. But what you can't do on any other platform, can do with Facebook groups, is have entry questions. And these are literally, I believe, the root of why entire launches either perform well or don't perform well. Because most coaches who are using group use them wrong and they throw up random entry questions that aren't actually about giving any sort of information or about pre-vetting your leads to even be sure if they're the right people for the group. And that does come, as you said, with clarity, making sure you've got a proper, niche, making sure that you are specific in who you're actually speaking to and not speaking to everyone. And that is the root of usually sales problems in a group or in general is not being very specific. But we basically shouldn't be using these entry questions to ask them a lot of the things I see, like drop your email address, or did you agree to the group rule, or what is your biggest problem that you're trying to solve, or who sent you here, or why are you joining this group, or whatever. Those are not things that are going to make you sales. I see a lot of people treating entry questions into a group like a market research tool. And you should have done your market research already. You should do your market research outside of the group, create a clear, specific group. You should know what your audience has a problem with based on polls that are happening inside your group with audience members you know are the perfect fit. Not doing those before you know they're the perfect. So the questions asked really need to be specific to pre-vetting a lead for a future potential purpose and purchase in a paid offer. So we're already thinking long term in our group. When we bring people into our group, we wouldn't be bringing somebody in who isn't a perfect fit for our program. I do not see group as a place for you to spend 3 years, air quotes, I'm exaggerating, but nurturing a lead to feel ready to purchase or to make them become a good fit to work with you. I really feel like that is where you start to attract that resentment toward your group because they're not buying, you attract freebie hunters, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to build our group in a way where it's designed from the beginning to make us sales and making sure that we're bringing in people who are the right fit because then they tend not to leave the group. They tend not to become lurkers. They tend not to disappear. And then that all also tends to affect your algorithm. So the questions that need to be asked need to be very specific to pre-vet a lead before they get access to free information from you and future paid content from you. And those questions really depend on who I'm working with one to one at a time. But the questions are usually around who your specific ideal client and your specific, niche is. They're all the pre-qualification questions, not these I don't know, I would call it like join the group style questions of like getting a feel for who your audience is. Like that's not what I would use entry questions for. I would use them to make sure that you know exactly who your audience is and that the people coming in are absolutely the right fit for you.
Can you give us a couple of examples of questions that you would ask?
It just really depends. It depends on, and this is something I would work one-on-one with a client because everybody has a different skill set and everybody has a specific niche and everybody has a specific person that they want to speak to. And it really matters based on what they're selling. You basically want to make sure that those entry questions are related to your offer. And so that depends on what your offer is.
So, are there any other pros that you see when we're talking about Facebook groups that you can use to your advantage?
Yeah. So there's a couple things here. One is, unlike Instagram, we have Facebook events. And Facebook events also provide, again, automatic reminders 1 hour before an event starts to remind people to come to that event if they've opted in and said yes or whatever. And that also allows you to invite your entire group so they get another notification that there is a free event coming up. And you can also make that a public thing. And so if you are properly leveraging your Facebook profile for lead generation and you have a specific group of people that is categorized with segmentation of, who exactly might be an ideal client, then you actually have the ability to invite publicly, air quote, which is from your Facebook profile. And I actually have a full segmentation list that says these are business, basically contacts, not family, friends, etc. And I'm able to invite that entire list. So I'm able to very much so tailor my Facebook events to the people I know would be a good fit for them. Um, and while I don't tend to use this very often, you can choose to turn on the chat feature. And then I've used that in very big launches to make sure that people have their questions answered, and to send them little reminders about the live stream. So that's really cool for like more exclusive events, but please don't add a chat for every single event you do. That is another thing where like you can definitely overuse that, just like that.
All right. So, flipping to another side, we've mentioned it before. It's like you've got to have a system in place. You want to make sure you know who you're talking to. If there is a way that you can engage and get somebody's email, to me, that's one of the best strategies because you don't own any of your contacts on any social media platform. It doesn't matter if you're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, you do not own those contacts. So when I'm working with clients, I always stress that if there is a way that you can get their email list, so that way you can be communicating and you know who's in your group, you've got all that data. That's why I love Group Track. It goes right over to my CRM. That you have a way that if you ever lose access to your group, I've seen business owners get locked out. Facebook, on occasion, we saw the Instagram Facebook meltdown last year where people inadvertently lost access to their accounts for no good reason and took over 24 hours to get it back. I saw one coach, it happened during her launch. She was freaking out that flipped over to YouTube. So thank God she had a way to direct people. So with that, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned at the very beginning, like using Zoom or another platform. So how do you, if there's a bad side of Facebook, let's get into that just for, or I should say, not so good side of Facebook. Let's get into that like a downside.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. And agreed. Everything that we do in our launch and in our business should be designed for email list growth. No Facebook strategy that I ever implement is done without email being an integral part of that. But certain launch strategies exclusively do email, and that alone is not always going to be the most profitable strategy. It really is a sweet spot combination of multiple platforms. So, like my issue with Zoom, the only reason you'd ever take a launch outside of Facebook is to basically use a Zoom room. And the only reason I would see to use that is to build your email list data because there's nowhere really to host the replay on Zoom that creates community or follow up or tracking or tagging or replay comments. So if you're using Zoom, you'd be using it to basically train your email audience to get used to opening your email, clicking the link, and that builds up your email list. And so a couple times a year, I will do events that are exclusive for email providers and I will use Zoom. But the intention behind that is to really train my audience to start opening my email and to get it out of spam and to be following the link, etc. But overall, I do tend to see that sales are better when you use the Facebook group launch strategy. Um, the downside of the Facebook group and just full transparency, the part that I don't like it, for especially over something like Zoom is that if you are speaking to an audience that's already inside your Facebook group, then if you're promoting an upcoming event that's going to be held in your Facebook group, I see some people trying to bypass the registration link because they know that the replay will be in the Facebook group and they're already there. And so obviously that means that the algorithm starts to then determine who sees that sales content afterward, who sees the live stream, etc. And you don't have that second touch point of the email reminding them. And so it really is what I believe like a two-pronged process. It's a moral of the story. Launches are really a multi-platform approach. You need multiple avenues set up for maximum sales psychology success to be able to get those 7+ touch points before somebody's even ready to act on something. And so it's launching is more in depth than just like, let's go Facebook Live and talk about our offer at the end. There really is a full thought out strategic psychological strategy that goes into how we end up having launches. And then that determines how we're able to be successful on automation.
Great, great insight. So we touched on it earlier, but I want to go ahead and reinforce this because I think it's so important in case somebody had us on double speed and they weren't paying attention. So engagement and why it doesn't matter.
Uh, so kind of like I said before, engagement in group, let's just be honest and transparent. It has decreased since COVID ended because people are not tied to their computers anymore. And we are busy. And we're not spending 30 minutes a day scrolling through Facebook group, engaging on every single post anymore. Like that's just not the strategy that we would use. But I've seen sales do very well in groups like that. People have changed how they use social media and what they engage on and what time they have in their day to scroll, but we can actually combat this again with better content. And that's why engagement doesn't matter. Most of my clients have, again, never commented on any post or live stream or replied to an email before they go and directly purchase off a sales page because the content has done all my sales work for me. It handles all the objection for me because it speaks to a person who's ready to invest as their next logical step. A key in making sure that that's the stage and the target audience that you're speaking to with the entry questions to come into your Facebook group. It all reads. And when there's one like broken piece of that strategy, it can end up creating a trickle effect that you don't even realize is there that then makes it feel very difficult to launch with profit or to launch with enough bots being built. So I saw a lot of people in the industry say things like groups stopped working or groups are dead. I will be honest in saying I feel they're quieter, but they're still just as profitable as they were. And if they aren't profitable, then it actually goes back to content problem.
Content is a huge part of that. One of the things that I find with clients that I've worked with, and you've probably seen this too, you still have to go talk to people. You can have the best content in the world, but ultimately, there's got to be some sort of conversation. So, whether it's a passive conversation, as far as you're putting out something, you're asking people to engage, you're hooking them. It's like, hey, take a look at this. You're sending an email or sending a DM. There's multiple touch points, but just that post and we hope that something works isn't a great strategy. So it's figuring out what your system is. And I love that piece where you said, if something isn't working, there's probably, it's like, where's that gap or where's that one thing that you need to tweak so it does work and it flows together. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
So, as we were talking about, you mentioned it earlier, you've got a Facebook group. It's a sales multiplier summit, and it is gearing up. I'm so excited to be one of the speakers talking about gifts. So, designed for B2B coaches, can you share just a little bit more on?
Yeah. So we're hosting a wonderful, really big summit. I'm so excited. We've got some really great speakers coming in. It's August 22nd through 24th. And there's like a little pre-day on the 21st. So get in there early. But literally the party has already started in the community now. And we're going to be giving away prizes before the summit even officially launches. So I'm so excited because we've got $1,000 in giveaway prizes that are going to be going out to the people who are most active during the summit. We have so many speakers who have donated one-to-one audits, full program with one-to-one support courses, all sorts of things. And we also have it's all free. You can come in and join in completely for free. And we're going to be talking about how to leverage Facebook groups, how to leverage Facebook in general, and just sales strategies, including email and all the other touch points you need. And I really ask speakers to come in and give us presentations that were out of the box, things that were relevant to 2023, working in 2023, things that were maybe a little controversial and triggering and raw and real, and maybe the opposite of what you've been taught in the industry. And so I really wanted this summit to be different with really potent presentations, not long. They will not be like an hour long each. They are very short presentations you can easily consume in a bite sized amount. And I'm just so excited. And Joyce has literally one of my favorite presentations of the whole summit, I have to say. Like, I watched hers first because I was so excited for it. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what you're going to be talking about? I know you alluded to it earlier.
Literally teaching you how to gift yourself, but how to use that to increase engagement in your Facebook group, on Facebook in general. And by the way, because people go, well, how are you an expert at this? I have 423 million views on my Giphy platform, and it goes up by hundreds of thousands of views every single week. So while what I'm sharing, you can so use within social platforms, what it will do to boost your visibility so many places because gifts are used everywhere. You will absolutely love it. And it's a strategy I see very few business people using. I would have never thought, it's like, why the hell would you ever gift yourself? It is so much fun. So I am excited to talk about it. And if you're listening to this and you want information on the summit in general, go to layman.live/multiplier summit. That is the fastest way you can get in and look at all the speakers, the content that's going to be there. Get registered because you can take advantage, as Jenny said, of all the free content. My 5-step visibility playbook is what I'm giving away as my freebie. And then you've got an all access pass. For those of you that know you want a deeper dive, you want access to the content for a longer period of time that you can implement it when you are ready, especially if you're under multiple deadlines. So, what else do they need to know about that all access, that backstage pass?
Yeah, I'm really excited. So first off, just by getting your free ticket, no obligation to upgrade, but just by getting your free ticket, you will get access to 25 plus free gifts from every single speaker. So every single speaker has donated something for you that you will be able to download immediately when you get inside the Facebook group. But if you do want to go further, every single speaker has offered a normally paid for program, workbook, whatever it is, that they are gifting you for free if you join the All Access Backstage Pass. Now, here's a little hinty hint. When you go to register, there is a special page that's going to pop up after you finish registering for your free ticket, and that will be the lowest price of the All Access Backstage Pass. If you click off that page, you won't see it again. And every future time you'll get sent to a checkout page that is going to cost slightly more. So just hint, hint. If you do want to join the All Access Backstage Pass, the lowest cost way to join is immediately after you register for your ticket. And if you do that using the link that Joyce just provided, she will get a little, we're sharing the profit together. So she'll get a little commission. So it's a great way to help her out, support her. And I also hope you just come to the summit in general and come to her free talk and cheer her on during her talk and shout her name for the rooftop so more amazing people can find her and learn about it.
I am I am so excited for this. So thank you again for being here. And I cannot wait to see the results that people get, even implementing what's here. And if you join us for the Facebook Multiplier Summit, I have blocked off that time because I can't wait. I've seen what the other speakers are going to be presenting. I know I'm going to get so much out of this. So thank you. Thank you again.
You and it was so great meeting y'all and getting to talk to you about some of this stuff today. It was so fun.
Thanks. If you are loving this podcast, finding yourself motivated or inspired, learning something new, or you're just a fan of the show, do me a favor and help me spread the message. You can simply leave a review or you can take a screenshot, post it on your favorite social, and then tag me at Joyce Layman because Every share helps to reach more and more coaches who are interested in building their business online just like you.